Good afternoon, grinders. Welcome to your NBA SimLabs analysis for Wednesday, March 12th. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderHD, BlenderHD. If you're going to follow me on Twitter, hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door as we take a look at this 7-game NBA slate. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of value today. Let me just tell you that. The injury report, I mean, obviously we got some teams tanking. First off, okay? So we'll talk about that in a second. But we got Scotty Barnes is questionable, and that's going to be a very big deal. I guess it's going to be a very big deal. You're going to be playing a lot of Raptors today as of now because this Philly, this 76ers Raptors game is just like, I guess is a G League game, I guess, because like everyone is out for like both teams, either resting or injured or whatever. So there's going to be a lot of value, especially in the 4K range. So you're going to get like a lot of AJ Lawson at 4K, Jamal Sheed at 4,400, even like a Jakob Pertl, Jared Rhoden at 3,300. I mean, you also have the Memphis guys. Memphis has a 130 implied total at home against the Jazz, so you're gonna maybe pay up for Desmond Bain, maybe Ja Morant. We also have the Clippers. You know, Kawhi is out. We take a look at the injury report. Tate is questionable, so we have to wait on that. That's an earlier game. That's a 7:30 p.m. Eastern game. We should have that news before lock. Yeah, everything's kind of condensed here time-wise on this 7-game slate. But Jalen Williams is out. Maxey is out. Amen Thompson is out. Kawhi, like I said, is doubtful. Brunson's out. Quickly, RJ Barrett, both for the Raptors, are out. Porzingis is questionable. Oubre for the Sixers is questionable. Paul George is out. We just got word Keontae George is out also. Devin Vassell is questionable. I mean, he projects pretty well if he does play. So there's a lot of moving parts. So definitely tune in to Grinders Live later today, 5 p.m. Eastern. And that immediately proceeds and goes into crunch time. They'll have all of your updates for who's in, who's out, who benefits, everything like that. I have our situation room up, which is free here at RotoGrinders.com. Shows you who's in, who's questionable, who's on the injury report, and this gets updated throughout the day. But let's take a look at SimLabs. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of these like 4K-ish players, maybe playing 2 or 3 in your lineup. So like a stars and scrubs-ish type of build. Seems like a lot. I mean, our best projected values are those Raptors guys. We have like a Brandon Clark or Zach Edey, right, for the Grizzlies with that high total. Depending on who plays, they're both questionable. So I'm assuming if one is out and one is in, the one that's in is going to be pretty good to play. He's got like a Keldon Johnson there at 4,600. If you're going to pay up past 10K, you got Harden for the Clippers. And I know the Clippers have a pretty low total against Miami. That's one of the low. That's the lowest total game on the slate. But just the Clippers rotation is just at this point very condensed. So as long as the game is close, Harden should see a bulk of the production on the Clippers side. And obviously, we also have SGA there at 11-4 that you can play. So, like that point guard position, it looks like the point guard position, maybe a pay up position today because we got Morant there as well. And then the shooting guard position is more of the place where you may be spending down. But we'll take a look at SimLabs. I'm going to run this for 150 lineups on our default settings for large field, a low results range. I just want to see the main culprits that are going to be in a lot of lineups because I've gone through the optimal versus projected ownership. There's based on our current projected ownership, there's no like egregious people that are like heavily overowned, heavily underowned. Like you see here, like Scottie Pippen, 6% overowned, but I mean his optimal rate isn't all that bad compared to his ownership, right? We have him at like 16% owned and maybe 10% optimal. So that isn't for a 7-game slate. 10% is pretty good. We got some that are really high as far as optimal rates, and it's most of the people that I just mentioned. Those Raptors guys, and also Tyree Eason for the Rockets. We also have Sengun projected pretty well. So I mean, maybe we'd be looking into playing some Houston today. They have a 116 implied total against Phoenix at home. So I'm expecting to see a bunch of those types of players. So we look through some of these things, right? Jason Tatum is a little bit overowned, but like 3% compared to his his optimal rate. It's not like his optimal rate is this. So like 3% is not that big of a deal. We take a look at center, right? Pirtle a little bit overowned, but I mean, not absurdly, right? Because we have his projected ownership at 19% and his optimal rate at like 15%. So it's like I've looked through all of this just in these charts. Like, yeah, you see the green bars and the red bars like very wide, but I mean, it's just in comparison. It's like plus or minus 3. Shooting guard, plus or minus 3. Like Jared Rhoden's a little bit overowned, but by 3%. We have his optimal rate at what? Because he's 3,300. So his optimal rate I see here. We have his projected ownership at 20%. His optimal rate it would be like 17, which is pretty damn high anyway. So I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of Raptors in these lineups. So I'm going to run 150 and see what happens. And you can see, you'll see how quick this is. So definitely get SimLabs. Run this much closer to lock. Tune into Grinders Live. Tune into Crunch Time. Use this tool much closer to lock when we get if not all, of the news in as this gets updated throughout the day. So you always check that timestamp on the bottom here on the latest Sims update when our projections and our ownership gets updated throughout the day. So I'm going to go over to exposures just to take a look at who is showing up in a ton of lineups here. So we go here. I mean, you could literally play any of these lineups, any of these 150, right? All these green bars, they're all pretty similar to each other. Obviously, they could be 6v6s, right? Remember, it's not about players; it's about lineups. So we see AJ Lawson's in 73%, Jamal Sheed 57%, Harden 55%, Desmond Bain 44%. And then we get some Keldon Johnson, Dylan Brooks, Devin Vassell, assuming that he plays, some Bogdan Bogdanovic, obviously with the Clippers rotation, pretty condensed. We're getting some of the Grizzlies here. We're getting more of the Raptors. We got some of the Hornets even, right, against Atlanta. Maybe some Miles Bridges, maybe some LaMelo Ball. That may be that may be off the beaten path just a little bit today. But we do get some Tyree Eason, Alperen Sengun. So it's a lot of Raptors, Rockets, Grizzlies, maybe some Spurs, depending on the position, depending on if Vassell's in or not. So yeah, so you can see like lineups that look like this, right? We got this first one: Harden, Lawson, Johnson, Bridges, Robinson, Ball, Brooks, Sheed. We got three Raptors in it. We got 2 Raptors in this lineup. We got 2 in here. We got 3 in here. We got just 1 in here. Right? It's going to be very hard to. Is there a non-Raptors lineup? I mean, it's going to be pretty damn hard to find a lineup that projects well and simulates well without a Raptor in it. So I think we're kind of stuck playing the Raptors today. But do you necessarily have to play James Harden? Maybe not. Do you necessarily have to play Desmond Bain? Maybe not. I mean, do you have to play 3 Raptors? Maybe not. So I mean, you could make the choices you want as of this point on who to play and who not to play. Like I said before, we have Tari Eason as a pretty high optimal rate for his $5,900 price compared to his ownership. The power forward position seems pretty weak today. Our best projected power forwards, if you're going to pay up, is Miles Bridges, and if you're going to pay down, it's going to be either Dylan Brooks or Tari Eason. Dylan Brooks at 4,400, Tari Eason at 5,900. But we have Tari Eason as like one of the more under-owned players today. So I'm going to lock him in. I'm going to try to find a lineup that has Tari Eason in it. And I'm not even going to include or exclude the Raptors. I'm just going to assume Raptors are just going to show up a ton in these lineups anyway. Let's look at some other players that maybe over-owned. Like I'm gonna look at the ownership on lineup HQ just to make it quicker here. Guys that maybe we want to exclude in our lineups. I mean, if Harden is going to be super owned, I mean, we have him at 27% owned, 28% optimal. So don't necessarily have to get rid of him if we want to choose. I mean, who's here? Like Like, do we want to play the Hornets? Do we want to play a LaMelo Ball? I guess if we're playing Tyree Eason in the power forward spot, we're probably not going to play Miles Bridges also, right? We kind of maybe want to pay down there. We're going to try to find lineup constructions that pay up in other spots. Maybe Orlando Robinson. Orlando Robinson seems to have a much lower optimal rate compared to the other Raptors, so maybe we exclude him. I mean, there are lineups that have Orlando Robinson that sim well. I mean, we're really just like, dude, we've done 10,000 simulations. There's probably hundreds of lineups that we could choose from. They're about the same. We're just making the personal choice to look at lineups that have certain configurations and what do the rest of the lineup look like. So we're going to lock in Tyree Eason. We're going to exclude Orlando Robinson, and maybe if we're not going to play Miles Bridges. And maybe because we're not playing Miles Bridges, we're not going to play LaMelo Ball either. So we just avoid the Hornets altogether. And let's see what shows up. Okay, so I'm gonna put in 20, and let's see what comes up for large field contests in our sims. What does the rest of the lineup look like? And how many Raptors are in it? Okay, so we see here, right? Here's lineup 1. I mean, look, they all rate very well. Lineup 1, we have Pirtle and Sheed. We have Tyree Eason. Obviously, we have Tyree Eason in there. Harden, Bane, Vassell, Eason, Pirtle, Sheed, Bogdanovich, Lonnie Walker at 9.3% owned. They're perfectly fine. And obviously, if you're going to play some Raptors, playing a 76er on the other side, ain't that. Yeah, I mean, these are fine. We got Sengun and Eason here with Lawson and Sheed. We have Zach Edey. Obviously, if Brandon Clark is out, he's a little bit better of a play. We don't know if Vassell's going to play at all. So why don't we exclude Vassell? Because maybe let's just say maybe he's out. I mean, obviously that'll bump up some of the Spurs, so that's why you should definitely check out SimLabs when all this information gets updated. So let's take out Devin Vassell and see, right? Because we got Tatum in this lineup, because he may not play. Who knows? But I don't want to. I don't. The thing that I don't want to do is get rid of these Raptors. I think you're going to be playing Raptors today. Right, unless bomb hits and half the teams are playing like their benches or something. Like, I don't know. Hey, it's NBA DFS. Anything can happen, right? We may get news that half a team is sitting. Who knows? Later today, but most likely not. Most likely you're going to be playing a lot of Raptors today, so they're going to show up in these lineups no matter what, if I lock them in or not. So, but I'm gonna take out Devin Vassell and let's see how much hard like. The thing is that, an easy way to pivot from a popular construction is maybe not playing Harden either with that low total. Maybe he ends up with 52 fantasy points and he just doesn't get there. Like, he's fine. Like, he helps you cash, but he doesn't get like 70 fantasy points. So let's take out Harden also. Okay. So we have Eason in here, and we're not going to play the Hornets. Orlando Robinson. We're not going to play Devin Vassell, and we're not going to play Harden. And let's see what these lineups look like. And remember, you could choose to do the complete opposite. You could say, I'm going to play a Harden lineup. I'm going to play a not Harden lineup. Here's a Scotty Barnes, right? Because we don't know. Scotty Barnes is questionable also. So obviously, if Scotty Barnes is out, it makes the other Raptors even better plays, right? Scotty Barnes is 8,700. I mean, if he does play, he's obviously going to be the most productive player on the court for the Raptors, with him playing against creative players, essentially. So you get a Scotty Barnes lineup. You get, okay, we got plenty of lineups here, right? We do have plenty of lineups here. Here's one that has both Morant and Bane in it as well. I guess that's doable, right? All these guys, we take a look at these lineups. Like, there's no like 1% owned players in these lineups. People try to get way too contrarian, especially in NBA. Like with 8 lineup spots and all the different positional eligibilities. There's plenty of ways for you to still play like the good plays, still play this, own plays. Maybe you're not playing like 5 of the highest owned players together, but there are configurations that are they're going to be unique. They look like, this looks like a lineup that a lot of people will play. They're not, right? They're going to have different configurations. So let's put in Scotty Barnes and exclude him as well. Just assume that he's out. So like the first lineup would be here. Like I like this lineup. Like this lineup is nice because we're, instead of playing Harden, we're playing Bogdan on the Clippers. Then we're playing Roden, Pirtle, Sheed, and we're not playing AJ Lawson. And then instead of playing Harden, you're playing SGA at the pay up spot alongside Ja Morant as leverage against like a Desmond Bane, I guess. So I mean, I like this lineup. 268 is the projection, median projection as of now, and I just want to check what the projected median optimal is. 280. 280. So 12, you're giving up 12 points in projected median, which is fine. I mean, it's a large field contest. If we're playing in a smaller field contest, maybe you wouldn't give up 12 points, but 6 would be fine. 6 to 8 would be okay. So these are okay lineups, right? If we want to force, let's say AJ Lawson in, let's say we're going to play AJ Lawson, we're going to force him in, and let's say we don't mind playing James Harden. So let's look for a lineup that does have like Harden, Lawson, Eason, okay? That doesn't have any of the Hornets, doesn't have Robinson, doesn't have Vassell, doesn't have Scotty Barnes. So what does that lineup look like? With Lawson, Harden, and Eason. This is really about what's the rest of the lineup look like. Okay, so we got the first one here. We're getting a Jabari Smith as a low-owned play. We're getting Onyeka Okongwu as off the beaten path center. I'm still less inclined to play a Hawk in the lineup if we're not playing Hornets for obviously for correlation purposes. So maybe we don't. If we're not going to play LaMelo or Bridges, maybe we just don't prioritize playing on Okongwu, because Trae Young is questionable. God, there's so many moving parts today; it's ridiculous. So I'm going to take out Onyeka Okongwu. But here, I mean, even this line, I mean, you got Klay Thompson there. I'm not a big fan of paying $6,400 for Klay Thompson, but he's in there, right? Scottie Pippen, we have is over-owned a bit. So let's start taking these guys out. Okay, so if we're not going to play the Hornets, we don't mind playing Vassell, assuming that he plays. Let's take out Scottie Pippen as well. We have him as over-owned. But we're going to play the chalky Lawson, we're going to play the chalky Harden, and we're going to play Tari Eason. Let's see what those lineups look like. So this is the way that you could do some research using SimLabs. Even if you're just going to play one lineup, if you're just going to play 3 lineups, 5 lineups, right? You could sync these lineups to Lineup HQ. You could download them. You could import them via CSV. You could do whatever you want, right? Here's a Jason Tatum lineup. Here's a Miles Bridges lineup. Nick Richards, right? Yeah, because you have to get different elsewhere. If you're going to be playing Harden and Lawson, you're going to have to get a little bit different. Like Nick Richards at a center spot. Let's see what other we got. Najee Marshall. I mean, he's up to 7,500. Maybe is he truly a $7,500 player? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, these are a little bit more contrarian, right? 268, 272 on the median, right? So giving up about 8 points here, and we're playing Miles Bridges in this lineup, and Lawson with Sheed, Lawson with Roden. Yeah, and these all have Harden in it because we locked them in. Yeah, these are all pretty good. Right, here's one with Jamison Battle. If you want to play 4 Raptors in your lineup, like I don't mind this, right? You play 4 Raptors, right? So you play Lawson, Pirtle, Battle, Sheed. Then you play Harden and Bogdan together. Tari Eason in the power forward spot, and you're paying up for SGA. So you're basically melding a lineup where Harden and SGA are your 2 pay up options, and that combination may not be as popular. I mean, 2 individually will be owned, but maybe not together. This could be a lineup. 274. Also, you're only giving up 6 points in median projection. So I like this lineup. And this is the lineup that's worth playing. I mean, all these lineups are worth playing. This is one that, just by eyesight. No one here is less than, 14% owned? Right? You could still play this lineup in a large field contest. This is perfectly fine. You could save it in lineup in SimLabs by clicking there, right? You could save any lineups you want and then sort them out, later. You could save, this looks good, that looks good, this looks good. And then maybe, you save 12 lineups and you only play 5, right? And then you could check your exposures of the saved lineups and go, okay, I'm going to play a lineup that has Harden in it, and then I'm going to play a lineup that doesn't have Harden in it. I'm going to play a lineup that has Eason in it, and I'm going to play a lineup that doesn't have Eason in it. I'm going to play 3 AJ Lawson lineups and 2 non-AJ Lawson lineups. You could just do that in SimLabs, right? And Lineup HQ, our optimizer tool, you kind of have to do that yourself. You kind of have to program that all in and work that all out yourself. SimLabs, we're running all the sims for you, right? So we're telling you that, we've run the 10,000 sims, and these are the lineups that rate out well. The thing is that there may be hundreds, if not thousands, of lineup that rate out well, that are 6v6s of each other. And in certain instances, the Clipper game blows out and Harden doesn't get there. In certain instances, the Clippers game goes to overtime and Harden has 80 fantasy points. In certain instances, the Hornets get blown out. In certain instances, LaMelo Ball at 70 fantasy points. So there's all these different outcomes that could happen, and we simulate them over 10,000 iterations and then average them out and go, okay, what lineups in a large field contest have the highest EV on average, right? Sometimes the lineup comes in last place. Sometimes it comes in first place. The average is right in the middle, right? So that's what we're really doing here at SimLabs. And you could get that as part of the combo light package here at RotoGrinders. You get full access to our sims, right? A lot of other places, they charge hundreds upon hundreds of dollars, right? Maybe we should be charging that much because it's that valuable of a tool. It also includes all of our stat pack databases like Court IQ. So if you want to do some of the research yourself, and all of our premium content, our game breakdowns, our consensus value rankings, our expert surveys, all of our Roto Academy stuff. If you want to, learn more about DFS strategy, and this is available only for NBA, MLB, NFL, and PGA, the 4 major sports in DFS. So click on that link in the description. Go to rotogrinders.com/premium and get the combo light package today. And if you're not going to do that, you don't want to pay anything, right? You just, like watching these videos, use some of the Sims analysis that I give you on a daily basis to, maybe choose one player over the other or whatever you want to use them for. The least you could do is hit that thumbs up button, right? Hit the thumbs, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. The guys will see you at 5 p.m. Eastern for Grinders Live and Crunch Time. So tune in then, right? We need to see if Tatum is in. We need to see if Trae Young is in. We need to see what's going on with the Raptors, if Scotty Barnes is in, and anything else that could possibly come up today in NBA on Wednesday, March 12th. So we got you covered here at rotogrinders.com.